I really felt like I was alone trying to figure out what I was doing. And I felt almost like if I went to her, it was like almost a burden. I just kept that stuff into myself a lot. Having time to exercise and just maintain my fitness was one of the things that just kind of kept me going and kept me sort of sane, I guess you could say. When your anxiety sets in, you can kind of apply some of these same tools that you use to sort of bring yourself back down after some intensive exercise.
You are listening to the Ockery Podcast, a show about men and masculinities, the challenges that modern men face, and how to chart a better way forward. I'm your host, Matt Howlett, mental health coach and founder of the Ockery. This episode is a conversation I had with Joel Pryor, a former paramedic from Ontario who moved to Newfoundland and transitioned into personal training to focus on the preventative side of health. We talk about his transition from Ontario to Newfoundland, how his fitness discipline and the pursuit of specific goals keeps him mentally strong, and how others can develop that discipline for themselves. Well, Mr. Joel Pryor, why don't you just start us off, give me an idea of what it is that brought you to Newfoundland, because you're originally from Ontario. All right, so give us the Coles Notes version.
Well, like I said, moved here to Newfoundland about 4 years ago for my wife to pursue her medical residency. From here, after this, we're not really sure where we're going to go, but we moved here from Sudbury, Ontario, where I was practicing paramedicine for just over 10 years or so. And through that time, I kind of got into my own fitness journey and stuff about 10 years ago. And then when we moved here, I just thought, after looking into paramedics here and paramedicine and how things ran, it just wasn't going to be a good fit with our lifestyle and with what her work schedule was going to be very demanding.
Yep.
And then I needed some more flexibility in my own schedule. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity to make this transition into personal training and try to do this fitness coaching as a career.
Yep.
So I've been at it for just about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm coming into 1 year, my 1 year anniversary of running my own fitness business now, working for myself.
Wow, that's wild. Because didn't I meet you basically when that was just about to start?
Yeah, it would probably been about 6 months before, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, man, my experience, I joke and give you a hard time, but those classes, I enjoyed them a lot. It's something that was very different and new to me, TRX. Great workout. And honestly, like, not to just sing your praises because you're on the podcast, I think you're a great coach. Well, personally, it's what I would want. It's someone who's like down to earth, easy to joke around with, not gonna like push you past your limit. Like you always seemed like you were aware that I wasn't bluffing when I actually was exhausted. But tell me more about that move then, because we know each other a little bit. We've chatted previously. It wasn't an easy transition. Like, what was that like for you personally?
Well, that was tough. The move here was tough. For the first few months, I didn't do anything because I wasn't really sure what to do. I was just here with my daughter. She was just turning 3 at the time. And just home with her every day. And we didn't know anybody. We had no family. So just, like I said, just by myself, starting to go a little bit stir crazy, not feeling like I was contributing much to the household and stuff. And,
right.
So it's, I got pretty down for a while. And I mean, just having time to exercise and just maintain my fitness was one of the things that just kind of kept me going and kept me sort of sane, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it was, I guess we moved here in June, and it was in October when I finally decided that I needed to do something, or else I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. Yeah. So I definitely want to jump into that, but I want to dig a little bit more into what that experience was really like. Like, what was actually going through your mind? Like, what was the big struggle? Was it just that you guys didn't have the connections here that you had in Ontario?
Yeah, like we just had each other, and where my wife was very busy with her
Right.
residency, that she didn't really have a lot of time as well to almost be involved in things. So then, I really felt like I was alone trying to figure out what I was doing. And, I felt almost like if I went to her, it was like almost a burden sometimes for her to to deal with this stuff when she's coming home after a 12-hour day at the hospital and having to do charting and stuff like that. And then I'm like, yeah, so I don't feel great. I miss home or whatever. So
yeah. Who did you bring those types of conversations to? Anybody?
I mean, I would chat with my family from time to time.
Sure.
But, even that was difficult sometimes, like with the time difference, back to Ontario. By the time everything got settled here, it was like, well, I'm ready for bed. And they're not. So, and then in the morning, when you get time in the morning, it's like, oh, maybe I'll give them a call. And you're like, oh, it's only 5 o'clock in the morning there.
Yeah. I feel you on that one. The years I spent in BC and even that 1 year that I was away in Asia, the time difference, BC specifically, 4.5 hours. It always seemed that like when I'm just finishing dinner, everybody's gone to bed. And personally, like if I'm going to get on the phone, I want it to be someone that I know a fair bit. I don't usually like getting on the phone too much, but I would jump on the phone in the evening after dinner. But everybody in Newfoundland but at that point is at least in bed, if not already asleep. So how did you, besides chatting with a few family and friends that you did reach out to, what else did you do to manage that, to keep that sanity during that period of time?
Not a lot. Like I just kept that stuff into myself a lot. And then once I decided to get out there and pursue this training career option and I started to meet people and get out a little bit more, it was a lot easier to start accepting that this is where I'm living for the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's such a common experience, I think, for men. For one, what you mentioned about not wanting to be a burden. So, we decide to hold it in and not bring that up with our partners or the people that are closest to us, the people that are like really day to day doing life with us, but then also really needing that sense of belonging. That's kind of what I'm hearing. That's the more, I guess, scientific term for it. That's actually what I did my master's thesis on. And I find that fairly interesting, especially when it comes to men. We often recognize when we don't have it, but we don't seem to want to put a whole lot of effort into going out to to secure that, to meet that need. Is that kind of what you felt like at first when those several few months of, just trying to keep it sane?
Yeah, I guess in a sense. Yeah. And like I said, I just tried to keep myself busy with everything, trying to do as much as I could, like everything around the house, taking care of my daughter so that, my wife didn't have to do nothing. It was basically she could focus on what she needed to do. And I was just keeping my own self fit and sane and doing everything else as much as I could to just try to make things easy around here and really just occupy my time to not sit around and feel like I'm doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a challenge, man, when you don't have those support systems in place. So you turned mainly to the disciplines that you had already had in place for fitness. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What does that look like for you? How does the benefits really come through? Because you're talking about sanity on one end and you're talking about trying to keep that with fitness. How does that relay for you?
Well, it's just something to, always sort of having some sort of a goal that I'm working towards in my own fitness and health and wellness, whatever that goal is. Like currently right now training for a marathon. So I have a goal in mind as to what kind of time I'm hoping to achieve. So now when I'm training, that's sort of all I'm thinking about is this training is for that reason. Mm-hmm. I'm out here running these freaking hills over and over and over because there's a lot of hills here that you gotta run.
Yeah. And just a reminder to everybody who's listening, we are in St. John's, Newfoundland. St. John's is a city that, I don't know, feels like it was mapped out after the fact, like as it was being built, as people were moving here and houses were just being thrown up, streets are going all over the place, and hills, we've got them. So you're getting ready for that.
Yeah. Even to go back, a couple of years ago when I was doing the workouts just at home here in my gym.
Yeah.
I was getting into a little bit of the CrossFit stuff, doing some of that stuff. And there's a lot of benchmark workouts, I guess you'd say, in that type of exercise. So, I would just take my stab at a lot of these different benchmarks. And I mean, obviously some of the weights, I can't even come close to some of the weights these people are moving around and what they are. But, I would sort of scale it and be like, okay, that's the time I want to do. And I was just trying to achieve this next level of fitness and to just feel better about myself and be like, yeah, I did that.
Right. So just setting goals.
Yeah.
And crushing goals
and keep, exactly. Just keep trying to crush goals and.
Right. And does that get old? Do you find that the benefits of the mental health benefits of having the goal and hitting the goal, does that get old if the goal is not always changing or?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Once you hit a goal, you got to find something else.
Right.
And that's where, between lifting weights and running, I just kind of bounce back and forth between what I'm trying to do and achieve in one or the other.
Right. I'm curious what your take would be on the connection between physical fitness and mental fitness. The last episode actually was just published this morning, is with a guy named Cortez Hancock. He's a counseling psychotherapist here in town, and I've also known him for a little while. But kind of the theme of that conversation was building mental fitness and how we often prioritize physical fitness for looking better and feeling better, but we often kind of forget about the benefits when it comes to mental health and mental fitness. What do you see there as the importance of of keeping a discipline with mental health?
Yep. No, I actually just listened to that episode today too when I saw that it was released. So another good one.
Right. Thanks, man. An avid listener right here.
No, I've liked them all so far.
Appreciate
but no,
that.
I absolutely think there's a connection there, and I don't know, maybe how to describe the connection exactly, but definitely know keeping discipline, keeping to some consistency, and just being on top of things definitely helps people feel better. I've seen it with a number of clients who have anxiety, and as we learn to deal with our heart rate getting elevated and our breathing getting elevated and all these things during an intense workout, and then you can relate that calming effect after that workout, and you're sitting there huffing and puffing and your heartbeat's going 100 beats a minute, and you learn how to calm down with some breathing and relax and get yourself feeling pretty chill again. When your anxiety sets in, you can kind of apply some of these same tools that you use to sort of bring yourself back down after some intensive exercise. And I have a client who is taking medications for anxiety and panic attacks and stuff, and after 6 months, a year, was not taking them anymore, and doesn't even really have anxiety anymore, doesn't get anxious over anything, has just learned how to deal with everything much better.
Right. Is that a common experience that clients would relay that to you?
Oh yeah, sometimes we're feels like therapy sometimes. No, again, as you build your rapport with your clients and stuff, they get pretty open. Some of them do about things. So,
but then specifically when it comes to I've been working out with you, or I've been working out in general, I've been consistent with it, and my X has reduced, my anxiety is gone, I'm having less headaches, or
well, again, it's getting to know it, and myself with my medical background, when I meet somebody and we consult, I ask about any sort of conditions or anything like that, just so we know what we're dealing with. When we get into a workout, if somebody starts to panic and the heart rate starts to elevate and they get into a full-blown panic attack because of it, then at least I know what the potentials are there, and potentially how to calm them down. And so I always check in, and how you feeling, how's everything, how's your anxiety, how's this, how's that, and that's where the conversation sparks. And over time, when they tell me that they're starting to feel better about it and everything like that, then that there's some connection there.
Yeah. Well, maybe just speak to me for a bit about your personal experience. How do you, and I'm going to push you to go into a bit of detail as much as you can.
Fair. That's fair.
That's fair. All right. Yeah. I mean, you gave it to me. How many classes we do? Was it 10 TRX?
Oh, it was more than that, I think.
Oh, yeah. And I knew every single time. I knew every time that I was going to feel like I wanted to die. Because for one, I felt, I don't know, not that I didn't want to let you down, but that I had to I had to do whatever it was that you were challenging me to do. So I get a chance to throw that back at you, I suppose. But for your experience, when you moved here and, you're trying to find your new way of living and what it is that you guys were going to do here, to make some new connections and stuff. What did the fitness specifically do for you? What did you find were the specific challenges that having that discipline of fitness helped you to, take care of?
Honestly, not really sure. It was
Yeah.
really, I think, just about staying consistent and doing something for me. Like I said, where I was taking care of my daughter and doing as much stuff as I could around the house to make things easy for my wife. That was something just for me.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like taking care of myself and my health at least, while trying to make everybody else happy.
Yeah.
Or keep things easy for everybody else.
Yeah, I know for me, it takes a few days of not working out to actually notice a difference. So like, I think I mentioned to you that we were shopping for a house here a while ago. And in that period of time, packing up things, getting ready to move once we had actually found one, I think it was about 10 days actually without doing anything. But in general, when I skip the gym or don't get in something a little bit strenuous physically for say 4 or 5 days, I start to notice it. My sleep is not as good. I feel that the impact of this ongoing daily stress is greater. You know what I mean? Like I probably notice it more. Does that resonate at all with you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you in the last probably 5 years, I haven't gone more than a day without doing something. The one day I missed was the day we moved here and unloaded the truck.
Right.
I didn't work out that day.
Yeah.
I didn't do a workout specific. We unloaded the whole truck and everything.
Yeah. See, in my mind, that counts, right? Because it's physical activity. It's not just
I look at it as it's like, that's just something that has to be done.
Yeah. I get that.
I'm like, need to be like just specific, purposeful movement.
Okay.
Not just like daily chores, cutting the grass, moving furniture. That's just like, that's something that has to be done. So,
okay. Okay. So let me push you a little bit on that one, because you obviously see the benefit of, say, the physical activity involved in a move. So like, if, just take my situation, we had a 10, 12 foot U-Haul. It took the majority of the day. That was, I don't know how many calories I burned, but that's a lot of like, squatting, overhead lifts. It's a full body movement, at least for, several hours with lots of big breaks and whatever in between. But you're moving, you're getting, physical exercise, you're getting your heart rate up. What do you see as the difference? Like, because obviously for you, that's not good enough. You would want to work out on that same day. I do not. I'm done after all that. What do you see as the difference?
Oh, there's not really any difference. That's just my...
Okay, it's just personal preference.
My take, that's my preference on it. Like, I would be like, oh, okay, now I guess I'll go for a run.
Right.
And where I had 2 dogs at the time, but now I got 1 dog. So I feel like obligated to take them out for a run. So like a lot of my time, my default is just go for a run. That might be a quick 30 minutes just to get them some exercise, and then I get the bonus of getting my own in too. So
that qualifies. That takes the workout box for the day.
Yes, absolutely. It does, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
That's something that's outside of my daily activities that I have to do, or like the things in my daily routines.
Right. Okay.
So,
tell me a little bit about your prep for the marathon then. What does that look like exactly?
So having just like completed the Tele 10, whatever that was, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I kind of found myself like dying out about 10 kilometers in. Really felt like I was just hitting the wall.
Right.
So switch things up for this time, and just need to push. I think it's going to push my tempo a little bit more. So I got 4 runs planned a week with a long run progressing up to, I'll probably hit about 35 kilometers will be my longest run before the date. Lots of intervals, lots of hill sprints, a lot more hill sprints, just different things to push myself a little bit more so that I hopefully don't gas out after 20 kilometers and have to drag myself around for the next loop.
Right. So how are you planning that? Like, because I think a lot of us, the reason why people come to personal training is because they don't really know how to map it out, or they have no experience whatsoever and they're learning the movements. You know what I mean? Like what's the basics for how you map all that out for yourself? Like, do you include any strength training for, or mobility work in there?
Yeah. So I get 20 minutes mobility every day, usually in the evening after everyone goes to bed, or I guess once the kids go to bed, I will I'll tuck down to the basement, and I got 4 strength training sessions a week as well.
Okay. So mobility
So
every day, 4 strength a week. And how long are they? What do they look like?
They're about an hour tops.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I've even switched the focus in those from lifting the really heavy weights like I enjoy to do to just a little bit lighter. And they're even a little bit more movement focused. Really working on like hip stability and lots of single jointed, single sided movements, really like focusing on the stability and movement of each side just to, make sure my hips are strong.
Right.
The knees feel good, everything like this, really trying to prepare for this like 42 kilometers of running of 3+ hours of it. So
yeah, my body just says no. I mean, that's all I'm feeling right now is just a big, hard no. Like, I mean, we're built different for one, you know what I mean? Like I'm not built to run.
Yeah.
One specific question for you then, I think this would be really helpful to hear from you. You've got the expertise with it. A lot of guys that I talk to, I think they recognize the importance of physical fitness, like when it comes to their mental health, right? But they probably aren't really sure how to be consistent with it. What kind of direction would you give to a man who they recognize the importance of that? They feel like they need to bring that discipline into their lives, specifically to get the mental health benefits, because, they're going through something in life and realize that this would be super helpful. What kind of direction, encouragement would you give to that guy? How to get started and then how to build on that and keep it consistent? Because they'll look up one workout and they'll do it randomly, or they'll do a few push-ups or whatever, right? But keeping that consistent, that's where the benefits start to come in, right? So what would you say for that?
I'd say give me a call and come on in.
There's the great answer.
No.
If you're in the St. John's area, hi, my name is Joel.
Yeah. Also do online coaching. No, but I would say just start small.
Yeah.
Like don't say I need to go for an hour. Like if you only got 20 minutes, go for 20 minutes. If you got 5 minutes, go in, do one exercise.
Right.
Like I said, don't worry about if it's an hour or if it's 10 minutes. Like just go. Even if you just go to the gym.
Sure.
Or just show up and be like, yeah, I don't really have time, but I went there. Start building that routine of going there.
Right.
And just go from there. Don't be in a rush. These things don't happen overnight.
Right.
One workout's not going to do it.
Right.
Going into the gym and working out for 9 hours is not going to make you fit.
Yeah.
So just start slow, keep your expectations, set your goals. Your goals are always evolving, so when you start, instead of having a goal of getting healthy and getting fit, your goal is just trying to go to the gym for 3 days a week.
Right.
Just show up.
And what specific activities do you think are probably the best options for starting with? Like just whatever you know how to do, or
wherever your comfort level is. Like I said, if you're just trying to build the routine and start something, wherever you feel comfortable. If you just want to go and walk on the treadmill, then go and walk on the treadmill. If you think you can manage some of the machines, then do some of the machines. Like there's no right answer, right? It's just about getting started and that's start wherever you're comfortable.
Right. Consistency, put in the work.
Yeah. That comes.
Yeah.
Start trying to go consistent and the rest will just start to come once you build that consistency and build that routine.
Okay. What about the man that doesn't have a gym membership, doesn't have access, whether it's, financial reasons or just distance, there isn't one in the immediate area, whatever that is. What can you do at home to like tick off that box?
You set aside time to just move at home. You can go for a walk, whether that's after dinner, you can, if you got family, get them involved. There's lots of ways you can sneak exercise into your day. Park farther away at the grocery store, so you got to walk all the way in, take the stairs everywhere.
Right.
There's lots of things. There's lots of exercises you can do just at home that don't need anything, right? Just body weight squats and push-ups and sit-ups. Like doesn't have to be fancy. Push-ups and body weight squats will get you a lot if you're just consistent at them.
Yeah. What's your most basic type of movement or workout at home that wouldn't involve weights? Maybe like a resistance band or...
Yeah, resistance bands are great. They're super cheap, easy to just kind of store in a little bin out of the way. And you can use those for pretty much everything too. And you can, if you can do 10 push-ups, well, then you can throw a resistance band around your back and make it a little bit harder. And
right. So keeping it simple and using things like resistance bands, if you have them, just to increase the difficulty.
Yep.
Keep things a little bit more interesting, maybe.
Yep. And, once you can always bring up the intensity, decrease your rest period, right? Like, so if you're resting for 2 minutes between doing 10 push-ups, well, rest for 30 seconds.
Right.
And everything's sort of geared towards what your goal is.
Yeah.
Once you start to get consistent and your goals start to evolve, and then you sort of have to gear your workouts or whatever you're doing towards whatever your goals are.
Yeah. And what do you think should be the goals, for obviously for someone that doesn't have a routine, doesn't have that discipline built just yet? What's the basic, is it 3 workouts a week? Is it, 20 minutes of mobility like you're doing? You have like a general idea of what that breakdown is?
I think that's specific to every person. Everybody's different in terms of what they need.
Tell me about your practice then. So if I came to you today and, I had a little bit of what would you do with me? Let's not make up something fake.
I'd tell you, there's the door. No, we would sit down, go through a consult, discuss, what your goals are, what you're looking to achieve. Initial assessment, look at the movement, look for any limitations, anything that needs to be addressed. And then
you've seen me move, Joel. Am I limited?
Oh,
do I have limitations?
You have some limitations.
I will admit that.
How's that Achilles, by the way?
That Achilles is, what's the months now? 15, I think.
Yeah.
Dude, it is wild. Do not tear your Achilles. Everybody out there, please stretch, for goodness sakes. For anybody that doesn't know, I tore it in March of 23. It was playing squash. And I warmed up like I had always warmed up for sports by kind of like doing the sport. You know what I mean? Hitting the ball around, throwing the ball for baseball, softball, just moving a bit. But I should have stretched. I realize that now. So thank you for asking. I know you genuinely care, but you're giving me a bit of a hard time. That's fair.
I do.
But how would you walk through that? That's what I'm curious about. Like, what is that experience? Sell yourself. Sell me personal training, Joel.
Well, we, like I say, we discuss what your goals are.
Yeah.
And like I said, we go through that assessment, make a recommendation to you for how many, what you should be doing. And then you decide how many you want to do maybe by yourself and how many you want to do, say, with myself.
Right.
And then I sort of develop up this program for you, and we get going at it.
So the program is something that the person could follow on their own if they wanted to. But they stick with you until they feel some level of confidence, or they just enjoy hanging out with you so much and find the benefit of working with you.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other reasons why people come in, right? Like a lot of them just need that accountability.
Absolutely.
They need that appointment, because it's an appointment. You don't show up, you get billed just the same as if you don't come to you don't show up at your dentist. Your dentist is going to bill. And so it's the same thing. It's an obligation that they've committed to, and they're there. Whereas if you're working out on your own, sometimes it's like, oh, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
I'll do it later. And you know what? Before later doesn't come, and next thing you know, it's bedtime, and you didn't do it that day.
Yeah, I feel that. The only time the only time I've ever done that is with you. I've never had a trainer. I've went to the gym with guys that were more experienced than me, back when I was younger. But that experience with you and the few people that were in that smaller class, that TRX class, that was definitely different. I definitely had felt that amount of, like, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of expectancy that comes from that level of accountability. Like, where's Matt? Because it was like, there was no more than 4 of us, I think. It was usually the 3 of us that were there plus yourself. I enjoyed it. I think it was a nice break from the regular things that I was doing. Yeah, it was for sure. I missed that group. Oh, I was part of that group. So I'm at least 1/3 the reason why you missed the group. Yes, that's very touching. So how can people find you online right now if they are looking for that type of thing? I mean, I joked earlier when you jumped in with the sales pitch, but I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about here. I mean, if people need this type of support, I mean, obviously there are a long list of benefits to consistent physical fitness. How can people find you and learn more? So the best way would be either Facebook or Instagram at Joel Pryor Fitness, and then message through either one of those channels, and we can definitely set up something to get anybody started or answer any questions people might have or anything like that. Awesome. Well, you've got my recommendation, my referral. Thank you for listening. I hope you found some value in this episode. If you have, be sure to share the Ockery podcast with a friend and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Ockery on socials at The Ockery and on the web at theockery.com. And you can find Joel Pryor online on Instagram and Facebook at Joel Pryor Fitness.